Hello and welcome back. Today I have an awesome tune for you called Dermott Grogan's, one of the many Dermott Grogans. And I think I got this off either a Harry Bradley album or I think it was on Music from the Lost Continent, which is an album by Jesse Smith, Sean Gavin, and Johnny McDonough. And among other things, they use the F flute a lot on there, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But for purposes of learning, since not everybody has one of those, I'm going to play it on the D. So Dermott Grogan's is very much going back to old school North Connacht style playing. And it's kind of odd. I would assume this tune, if I just saw it somewhere, I would assume it would be single, but it's actually doubled. So this tune is in pretty solid A minor, starts on an E and goes to an A. I lied. It starts on an A and goes to an E. So this tune has a lot of different ways to play it, since the bass tune is fairly simple. But it's a great chance to talk again about sort of that northern style, definitely use of the breath, the use of variation. And so let's start off with the A part. So as I mentioned in a previous video, a lot of northern phrasing, and just phrasing in particular, tends to have a couple short phrases followed by a long phrase, as sort of, again, that call and response sort of feel, and just, I don't know, it's building tension and then resolving it. So for the first part, I tend to play it like this. So those are two relatively short phrases. So then a longer phrase and then a shorter phrase. So it's not like a perfect formula, but it's just a way to think about it and to be alert for as you're playing these tunes. So you'll notice right away very heavy breathing. And it's okay if the note goes a little out of tune, as long as you are starting or ending in the right place. Because then it's just style. As long as you start right or you end right, it's all style. Anyway, and I'm really hammering that E. And so technically, I think on paper it's a second octave E, but I'm basically just blowing a low octave E so hard it pops up to the second octave, barely using any embouchure to do so. And that's what gives it that really nice kind of whoosh sound. And again, really nice hard Ds there. And then, again, really hard breath on the B. B cut. And so that's another use of glottal stops. So the B is going to be that glottal stop there. And again, as I've said in previous videos, sing or lilt these tunes to yourself, because that will reveal a lot of phrasing and style that might not come naturally as you're trying to, do all the complexities of playing the instrument. And so somebody asked me a while ago, where does that extra air go physically on the flute when you're giving a good breath huff? And I think it's different for everybody, since there's no real standardization of any embouchure between flute or between player. But I know for me, I'm projecting most of that out over the top of the flute. I think you can only get so much air into at least the flutes I play. So when I'm doing one of those big breath huffs, I'm definitely relaxing some of the tension in my upper lip and sending that air kind of more out towards, whatever's away from me, rather than down or into the flute. So. That's another cool thing you can do, a little slide there. So for that part, I'm also sort of anticipating that G off of the F sharp. So again, another glottal stop on the E. And you can also do a little if you want to. So the whole A part with some of those in it would be. Oh, and you can also hit that D twice and then do a little one of those longer cuts on E if you want. And again, I'm stretching that note a little bit sharp for emphasis. And then this is a real hallmark of playing, of people's playing like Harry Bradley and Sean Gavin, is they tend to do this very big cut on an A and then blow it sharp. And so instead of just, it's, and they kind of scoop it. They start a little bit flat and then go a little bit sharp. So anyway, how about the B part? And again, that is a second octave E overblown, but you can either send it up, sort of into an overtone at the end, or settle back down into the note. But anyway, if you're going to overblow on a second octave, make sure the vast majority of the note is in the correct octave. Don't send it up to that overtone immediately, because then it just sounds like you're playing incorrectly. And so that's another way, another point here is, so you can play that A twice, or you can walk up. So E, G, A. Again, walk up. Oh, that reminds me, you can also slide off that D. So. And that's another, I think I would call this a quintessential Sean Gavin thing, is doing one of those really long A cut and then the scoop with the pitch, and then overblowing that into the second octave, again, to build tension, usually at the end of the first B part of a tune. And that just, I don't know, I think that really kicks things up a notch. Like on Orman Sound, you'll notice I do that a lot. Like. And it just, I don't know, don't do it too much, obviously, as any strong embellishment can get tedious, but especially as it leads back into another phrase or another tune, I just really, I don't know, that really captures my imagination up there, so. And there you'll notice I'm even overblowing a little bit more, to the point where I'm actually not just relaxing my upper lip, but also raising my lower lip to just go over the top of the flute. So. And so that's kind of the logical extreme of where some of these overblown A embellishments with the scoop can go. And that's just as hard as I can possibly play, basically, while still sounding okay. So another point for this tune is playing around with the octaves, especially in North Conic playing, jumping the octave in the middle of phrases, in the middle of parts, can be a very cool thing to do. So. So that's something to play around with as well. A final point for this tune would probably be that the rhythm, again, is very sort of that two-step northern feeling rather than the more standard da-da-da-da-da-da-da kind of rhythm that we've seen on tunes like the Yellow Tinker. I want to play this tune as I would normally play it on an F flute, because in the north of Ireland, particularly, again, North Connacht, and especially in like the true Northern Ireland region, they played these sort of old British band flutes that would be in F, B flat, and E flat. And obviously, people in Ireland know this, that there are still these big parades of northern flutists that play, in sort of more of a band configuration. I'm not sure if they're playing Irish traditional tunes so much as just Northern Ireland flute repertoire. I honestly don't know too much about the kinds of tunes they play in these flute bands. But anyway, something that emerged for the rest of Ireland from that tradition is the F flute, or the three-quarter flute, as I think it's more commonly called. And so it's just a little bit easier to play. It takes less air, fingers are closer together, and it's a little bit more piercing, which again would help in a kitchen crowded and full of dancers. And to me, these have just the oddest cadence, kind of like a steel drum, especially if you're playing in an area with a lot of reverb. There's just this weird steel drum aesthetic that is bizarre, and I love it. So anyway, here's Dermott Grogan's on the F flute. Nice, I don't know, just something charming about that. Anyway, these are a little bit harder to play for me because they require a more precise embouchure, but overall you definitely use a lot less air. And just for anyone interested, I got this from Tony Milliard, who's a UK flute maker. I think his F flutes, particularly his keyed F flutes, if you're for some reason in the market for one of those, though they're not very common, are just fantastic. I've played a lot of F flutes in particular, just because I, I run in those weird circles. And I've never found one that has as clean a response and as sweet a high octave. Like it's certainly loud, but it's not piercing. So I definitely recommend these if you're looking to get an F flute. And honestly, I think this only ran me like, $700 US, so even a little bit less in pounds or euro. So again, if you're looking for one of these, great maker and really nice guy. So I definitely recommend patronizing him. So anyway, I think that wraps it up for this video. Thanks as always for joining me, and I'll see you next week.